You enter the world in Kryvyi Rih, Ukraine, and not exactly the setting for a fairy tale, and Soviet apartment blocks where the elevator is basically a cigarette smoke storage unit. Before you can even walk, you're living in Mongolia. Not for adventure, but because your father works there. The package deal includes isolation, brutal winters, and your mother falling ill, only to find your father still more present in postcards than at home. Meanwhile, growing up Jewish in an anti-Semitic environment means learning early that some jokes hurt more than punches. And when the Soviet Union collapses, things get worse. Dangerous streets, empty store shelves, and your one dream of studying abroad crushed by your own father. After that, you graduate with a law degree and immediately decide you never want to be a lawyer. For years of studying the Soviet legal code just to become the guy making fart jokes on stage. You're not just starting from zero, you're starting from negative. From there, every show is a gamble. The wrong joke about the wrong politician and poof, your TV slot mysteriously disappears. And it will several times. Then Russia invades Crimea, and suddenly half your audience vanishes, along with half your paycheck. Now you're too pro-Russian for Ukrainians and too anti-Russian for Russians. Congratulations, you've united them in hating you. And then, without asking for it, you become the unofficial voice of the people's frustration. Which sounds nice until you realize that every random person on the street now expects you to fix their lives with a punchline. So you announce your candidacy for president on New Year's Eve because nothing says serious political campaign like interrupting people's champagne toast. And then you win. 73% of the vote. The biggest landslide in Ukraine's history. And you've never run anything bigger than a TV production company. You walk into the presidential office and realize your campaign promise of draining the swamp is tricky when the swamp is deeper than the building's foundation. To make things worse, you get dragged into the Trump-Biden mess. One phone call later, you're at the center of the U.S. impeachment scandal. Congratulations, you've made international headlines for all the wrong reasons. By the end of your first year, your approval ratings are dropping faster than Kiev's winter temperatures. And you start wondering if maybe you should have just stuck to sitcoms. And if you don't want to end up a burned-out ex-comedian, thrown into politics, trapped by promises you can't keep, and so exhausted you forget why you even ran in the first place. Then, like this video, subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell like it's your last shot at escaping a press conference or another all-night war briefing. A mysterious new illness sweeps across the world. Your hospitals are underfunded, your medical staff is exhausted, and your country's idea of PPE is a scarf wrapped twice around your face. People protest your lockdown measures, not because they love freedom, but because they're broke. You're accused of killing the economy and not doing enough to save lives. Political opponents say you're targeting them unfairly. You say it's justice. The press says it's authoritarianism. Either way, no one's inviting you to dinner. Russia starts massing troops on your border. You try to stay diplomatic with both Moscow and the West and end up pleasing neither. Intelligence warns you an invasion is coming, but your critics say you're exaggerating. Spoiler alert, you're not. Until February 24th, 2022, you wake up to explosions, not fireworks, not construction, but missiles. You're told you're target number 1 on Russia's kill list. Your family? Target number 2. World leaders offer to evacuate you. You tell them, I need ammo, not a ride. Which sounds heroic until you realize you might have just volunteered to die in place. You start recording nightly video messages to prove you're still alive. Kiev behind you, the smell of smoke in the air. Nights are spent in bunkers, concrete walls sweating from the damp, listening for the whine of incoming rockets. Kiev turns into a fortress, sandbags, tank traps, and soldiers in every street. You get news from Bucha, civilians executed in the streets. You can't show anger, but inside it's boiling. Mariupol is cut off. No food, no water, no electricity, and no way to save them. Every day, thousands more flee, trains stuffed to bursting, kids clutching stuffed animals like life rafts. Your economy flatlines, factories silent, banks on life support. The world calls you a symbol of resistance. You'd rather they sent more tanks. You get brief, secure phone calls with them, just long enough to say, I love you, never long enough to feel safe. Security reports confirm multiple assassination attempts. Some days, it feels like you're starring in a very slow action movie you can't turn off. You become a full-time motivational speaker, delivering speeches to every parliament, summit, and awards show that will listen. Some say they'll send weapons soon. You've learned soon means maybe if it's politically convenient. You start flying abroad to beg in person, Washington, London, Brussels, each trip a calculated risk of never making it back. Leaders smile for the cameras, then tell you privately they don't want to provoke Russia. Your counteroffensives crawl forward at the cost of thousands of lives for a few miles of land. Every morning brings casualty lists. You read the ages and try not to see your own soldiers as kids. You watch teenagers head to the front lines with barely any training. Some of them come back without limbs. Some don't come back at all. The whole country runs on adrenaline, coffee, and grief. International media start calling you a professional beggar. You smile for the cameras anyway. Russian propaganda calls you a Nazi, a drug addict, a puppet. Pick a lie, any lie. You fight back with your own media machine, but lies travel faster than fact. Severodonetsk falls. Lysychansk falls. The power grid is targeted. Millions sit in the dark, freezing, wondering if they'll wake up tomorrow. You focus on defending Kyiv, knowing every resource pulled here leaves another city exposed. Volunteers from other countries arrive to help. Some never leave. You approve offensives that you know will cost hundreds of lives. Peace talks come and go, each ending with more bodies in the ground. Allies whisper about you giving up territory for peace. You pretend you didn't hear. Whole neighborhoods vanish under drone swarms. Even some Ukrainians start blaming you for the endless war. The land becomes a minefield, literally. You lose ministers in accidents that don't feel accidental. Foreign analysts predict Ukraine's defeat in months. You read every one. You're compared to Churchill, except Churchill had an empire, a navy, and nuclear weapons. You send troops into battle with outdated rifles and borrowed armor. Refugees face discrimination abroad. You have to call leaders just to ask them to treat your people like humans. Ukrainian strikes inside Russia spark international lectures about escalation. You celebrate your birthday in a war room. Again. You sleep in military fatigues, ready to evacuate at a moment's notice. You know if you're captured, you won't get a trial. And every morning, you wake up still wondering if today is the day Russia finally wins. And if there's another poor soul you'd love to see us tear apart on this channel, drop their name in the comments. Maybe they'll be next on the chopping block. But for now, click on the video popping up on your screen to find out why it sucks to be Vladimir Putin. It's a brutal one.